Joining us today is a Meta certified ad strategist who helps online business coaches grow their impact through purpose-driven Facebook ads campaigns. With over 8 years of experience, she specializes in attracting high-quality leads and driving measurable results. And she's passionate about sharing actionable strategies that empower coaches to elevate their online presence and boost revenue. So guys, help me in welcoming Carol Kabaale.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited. I think this is going to be a fun episode.
It will be. So I'm not sure where do I want to start with you because I already know your story, but I know my listeners would love to know why you are the person you are today, why you do what you do today. So just, give us a bit of background. Why did you focus on Facebook ads and, how did it happen?
Yeah, so, I had a very traditional life. My parents were immigrants. We came to a new country, South Africa, and then I went to school, I went to university, I had a corporate job. I was doing everything right, everything correct as we're taught. And I went and I got my corporate job and, I was working 9 to 5 and it was really exhausting. It was like every single day, the same thing. It was very high pressure. It was like I would be the first one in, the last one out. I didn't know it back then, but I was actually really burnt out. I will say the people who I met there, lovely human beings. Like, I'm glad I got to walk that horrible journey with them because I think they're the only things that kept me sane. But I also realized that everybody who had the type of life that I wanted or that I aspired to was a lot older than me. They were in like their 40s and their 50s. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I was like in my early 20s. And I was like, am I going to wait 20 years of my life to reach that moment? And I know maybe some people are like, well, that's just how the world works. And I just thought, there has to be another way. There has to be another way. I don't know how long we get to have in this human experience, but I want to make the most of it. So I kind of left my corporate job. I will be quite honest with you. I just quit one day. I didn't even tell anybody in my family I was quitting. I didn't tell them what I was doing. I quit and I went and I found someone who could teach me social media marketing. And then I got a certification in that. I thought it was important to get another piece of paper behind my name because I just felt like, there's some safety in having that knowing that I can do it, not that I'm making it up. And I didn't really enjoy the social media marketing too much. It was very like front end. There wasn't any data behind it. You kind of made decisions based on whatever the client wanted. And I really wanted to make decisions based on data. What is the best choice in this situation? And that's when I, was introduced to Facebook ads or Meta ads. And I just loved it because the data drives what you do. If it's not working, you've got to change it. And if it's working, how can we improve it? So yeah, fast forward a little bit, as you said, I started my first agency 8 years ago, and I started it, what seems like the worst part of it was the pandemic for most people, as a business owner. But for me, it was really, I had most of my clients come to me because they were having this realization, I need to be found. I can't wait for people to come to me. So yeah, it's been a lovely journey. I get to work with amazing people, and now I get to spend time with amazing humans like yourself on podcasts. So
Um,
it's been really cool.
Yeah, thank you so much for saying that. So that's why I love podcasting so much, and it's what I do, is my business, right? It's because I get to connect with people like yourself and learn from you. So yeah, when you talk about social media and you can't really, I don't know, in my mind I was thinking algorithm, isn't it like some sort of data that you can look into and then, maybe see how your contents are performing and then, maybe you can make some changes from there. But I know you also don't rely or you don't teach people to rely so much on algorithm. So do you see algorithm and data, are they not like the same thing? Or what do you mean by that?
So for me, the algorithm is one entity, and I feel like data is a different entity. So what I mean by that is when you post something on whatever social media platform you're on, you have no control over who sees it, right? You're dependent on the fact that you have probably created a very strong hook, a very strong piece of content, and you're hoping that because you have done all the elements that people have told you, or other influencers have told you, or a coach has told you, or maybe you see another creator doing and you try and copy or do something, you're hoping to have a similar result. There is no guarantee, that it will go viral. There's no guarantee that not even it to go viral, that your intended audience will see that piece of information. Imagine we spend all this time creating this wonderful podcast and no one hears it. What
Mm,
was the point? So
mm,
for me, data comes from something like running ads, where yes, it is a pay to play platform. So you're paying the platform to say, hey, please show my content to this person. But now you have control, right?
yeah.
Now you can say, show it to this person. So yes, you invested time in creating that content, but it's actually being seen for its intended purposes.
Mm.
And what will happen, as in the beginning, like maybe someone finds you organically or they find you through an ad, but then they keep on following you organically. So it only takes once or twice for someone to really be like, oh, okay, that's a pretty good piece of content. Let me stick around.
Yeah, it takes time, right? Organic marketing takes time. Well, whereas
Correct.
ads on the other side, or meta ads, is paid content. We all know that's paid advertising. So, okay, let's talk about how do we start? Because I know, also being in the coaching industry I've been in the industry for 4 years now. I've ran some Facebook ads before and it didn't get me the results that I wanted. So I just like, it doesn't work, right?
Yes.
So for
Mm,
people who have no, I think, and this is what I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, people don't run
sure.
ads is because first they think of money, like I need money to run ads, right? Because if I just create content or go on a podcast, I don't need to invest any money the upfront. So that's organic, like we know. For people who are thinking about running ads, yet they are so afraid, or because it's so complex, right? People talk to you, like what is the word? Like the Google Pixel,
Setting it up in the
yeah, I don't
background.
even know what that means, right? So all these elements are holding us back from running ads. So how do we start running ads if we want to?
Okay. So first of all, this is what I tell all my clients, right? What are you going to run the ad to? What is the objective? Now, most people say to me, well, the objective is obvious. I want sales, right? But okay, we get to sales, I say, okay, that's fine. We can get to sales, but I want you to picture this instead, right? Let's pretend you're at a bar, right? We're at a bar and someone comes up to you, right? And they fancy you. They like you a little bit, right? They don't just walk up to you and say to you, hey, will you marry me? And you say, yes, I will marry you, and you live happily ever after. It doesn't work that way. What usually happens is the person comes up to you, they introduce themselves, you guys talk, maybe you go on a couple of dates. And after that, maybe they will ask you to marry them, or you will ask them, and you guys live happily ever after. It's the same thing with an ad. And it doesn't matter what it is that you're selling, even if you're buying a shirt or you're buying a course or you're buying a car, you're never just going to buy the first thing. You're going to look and you're going to look around and you're going to see and have, unless it's like something you've always wanted. Like, let's say you've always wanted to go to a specific place or take a specific course. That's different. But most times when you have an idea of a problem you want to solve, you shop around a little bit. So that's where the nurturing needs to take place. Those are the dates that people go on.
Mm,
And once the person has found the solution, then they will decide to buy, right? So the first thing I then turn around and say to my clients is then, what are you going to present them as your offer? What have you sold before? In your case, as a course or as a coach, what service are you going to put in front of them that one, you have testimonials for, that people have gotten great results from, right? And two, you have managed to sell organically, right? And what I mean by that, to get more into the nuances, is what does your sales funnel look like? Do people usually come to you because of referrals? Do they come to you because of the podcast? If they come from the podcast, are they leaving you an email? Are you following up with them? Are you getting them on the call? You need to understand the customer journey, because here's the truth, and it's very simple. Ads are not a magical thing. They just amplify your business. So whatever you have, that's what's going to be shown, right? And if you have holes in your customer journey, so saying how the customer first finds you to how they get to the sale, it's just going to be amplified with the ad. It's not a fault of the ad, it's a fault of your process. And I think there lies the problem.
I really love what you just said. Like ads just amplify your business, right? And I never think of it that way until now. So yeah, I mean, thanks for that. It's really, something that I need to look at into before I run ads again, right? So, um,
Yes.
and So since if it's not about getting clients and sales or conversion, because I remember I was talking to this guy, asked me what is my goal for running ads. I said, of course, sales, right? To get clients.
Sales.
He said, yeah, conversion, right? So and there are all these terms that we use when we run ads. So if it's not about conversion, then what would you say? How would you help your clients? Like, what are some of the goals other than conversion when we want to run ads? If it's not about making money, getting clients, then why do we do that?
I like to run ads for two reasons. I do run for conversions, right? But it's never the ad that I lead with to say to my clients, because it's going to be really difficult to convert someone who's a total stranger to buy your product. You're going to have a huge ad budget. And most people who are solopreneurs or they have a small team just cannot afford that. That's just too much to invest, you know? So what I prefer and say to them is, let's get something tangible. Let's get an email. Let's start a conversation. Now, once you have an email, right? Let's stick with that example for a second. People are opening emails every day. I mean, emails were invented, I don't know, before both you and I were probably born, and
Yes.
we're still using them today. So they're not going anywhere anytime soon. People still check their emails every day. People still subscribe to things that they want because they know maybe there's going to be a Black Friday sale, or there's going to be a festive season sale, or Thanksgiving, or whatever it is. It's going to happen, and they want those specials, or they want to hear from those brands, those creators, those communities, right? So another thing to remember there is, like, people buy when they want to buy, not when the business owner wants to buy. This is very important to remember that, okay? So by having their email, having something tangible, you get to stay top of mind. You get to be the option for when they are ready to commit. So that's the one thing I always start with. The next thing that we've been trying out recently, which I really like, this campaign that we've been running, is kind of like a talking campaign. It's like a mini chats campaign. I'm sure you've seen an example of this, where you get a piece of content, a video, and someone says, comment the word blank and I will send you 1, 2, 3, 4, right? You've seen ads like that, or pieces of content. So what happens at the end of that is the person will comment the word, and then a message sequence will be activated. Now, from that message sequence, the way you can set it up that's actually really cool is not only just asking them for an email. You can have a conversation, like you're starting to build that rapport.
Right.
And in it, the first thing that I like to say that we've been testing like now is, hey, this thing that I'm going to give you, this thing of value, right? It's only for my community. It's only for my followers. So how about you follow me and then I'll give it to you. So now you've not only potentially gained a follower, but you have someone who's really invested. You've asked them to do something and they've done it. That's a yes. They're nodding yes, right? And then you come again from a place of service and you say, hey, I want to still give you this thing. I just want to make sure that you have a backup version of it. So would you mind sending me your email so I can also send you another copy of it? Now we have two things.
Wow.
We have a follower and we have an email address. And at the end of the thing, you actually give them what they wanted. And I want to be very clear on give them what they wanted. It has to be something of value. Sometimes, particularly coaches, they like to say to me, oh, Carol, but I can't give them that because that's for my paid clients. They're so special. Oh my gosh, no, they need it. I'm going to tell you right now, 90% of people do not implement. They don't implement. They will give you their email and it will sit in the downloads folder. They will never take action.
Yeah, I am one of them.
So we want the 10%, the people who are going to open it, the people who are looking for solutions and actively taking action, right? So those people, you want to give them something that gives them that instant endorphins hit. It gives them that, oh my gosh, that was so helpful. I wonder what else she has. I wonder what other solution she has. And she gave me this thing and it wasn't fluff. It was actually useful. That's what you want. Because then they're going to go back. They're going to look for that email you sent them. They're going to look for what is the next step. How else can I work with her? And if they're not ready, at least they know, because you've given them such a great piece of content, such a valuable asset, that when they are looking for someone to run ads, when they are looking for someone to grow a podcast, when they are looking for a business coach, you are the name that shows up in their brain. Their brain is like, didn't we get that? Didn't we get something really useful? And then they come back to you.
Yeah, wow, it's some golden nuggets. And so I'm sure what we are talking about is getting people, the lead magnet, right? In marketing terms, is the lead magnet. So
Yes.
And it's about something of value. Yes, it's free, but it has to be valuable. We can give away anything we want for free, right? For example, this
Yeah.
podcast is free, people can listen, but again, right, something of value. So, okay, take me for example. Right now, I'm about to launch my new lead magnet. It's actually a checklist, so you can tell me if it's good or bad, right? It's a
Yes.
checklist for helping people how to launch a podcast. It's like checklist. You have to check all the boxes for you in order to launch a podcast. And I just keep procrastinating. I just keep postponing, launching it to my leads, and I don't know why. So what are some of the powerful lead magnets, for example, especially for coaches who maybe do one-on-one coaching or group coaching or membership? Like, what are some of the lead magnets that we can use to grow our leads that give away and people actually want?
I want to give you a piece of
Yeah.
the best advice that I was ever given. Done is better than perfect. I actually have it written in my office. Done is better than perfect. Okay. You need to get it done, because while you're sitting here thinking about, should I do this or should I not? There is somebody else who's taken action on it.
Yeah.
Messy action, but they've taken action on it. And now they're ahead because they have data, because they know, did this work or did this not work? For me, I often say to clients, think about it also, if that doesn't help, think about it as version 1. It's only version 1. Version 2 can be even better. Version 3 can be, it's not saying we're abandoning it. We're just learning what worked, what didn't work. I love the idea of this checklist that you've come up with. I want you to think of it as well as, it doesn't only have to be a checklist. You could do a quiz. Are you ready to start a podcast? It's the same thing that you're doing now. It's the checklist in a different format. You
Wow.
could do a little audio that they could listen to. Hey, I'm going to guide you. Listen to this audio book, this audio podcast episode, and I will walk you through a co-working session where we set up the next things to get you started on your podcast. The 3 most important things, the 1 most important thing. And you walk them through it. They're in your ear. It's like having you in their pocket. So the format of it is really what we test. The idea can always stay the same. And that sometimes as entrepreneurs, we get kind of married to this idea.
Yes.
It has to be this way. It has to be a PDF. It has to have this graphic. It doesn't have to have anything. It has to be in a way that the person who's receiving it finds value in that thing. For example, for me, I'd rather just have a quiz. Like, my lead magnet is a quiz, because for me, I find that very helpful, right? But for other people, I have a coach who helps women in their 40s find purpose again, right? And she has a walking meditation. They go on walks with her in her ear, and they have a whole conversation. And that's really cool. Then they come back and they feel like they have this personal connection with her. She could take the same thing and make it a PDF. Would it be as powerful? Maybe, maybe not. We'd have to test.
I love that. I really love the idea of a quiz, right? I think, yeah, I'm gonna look into that. I mean, thanks for that. Really is something that's just like something that just click, right? It would be so awesome. So are
Yeah.
you ready to start a podcast? Thank you so much for the idea. I'm gonna steal it. So okay, so let's say right now we have developed our lemonade, right? Let's say it's a quiz.
Yes.
And I'm going to launch it. Yes, I have an existing email list, but of course I want to launch it to I want to get, the goal is to grow my leads, right? So I'm gonna run a Facebook ad. So how do we run a Facebook ad on a small budget? Let's say we don't have huge budget. How do we do it?
Okay. So first of all, the budget question comes up a lot. And I think it stops people because they automatically think, oh, I don't have money. I don't have enough money to run this budget. But I want you to think 2 things that can help you get over that, right? The first one is, be very realistic at what your budget can attain, right? So let's use small numbers so that everybody's on the same page. If it costs you $1 to get 1 email list and you're spending $10 every day, at the end of the day, you will have 10 emails. However, if it costs you $5 to get 1 email, you will only have 2 emails at the end of the day. You as an entrepreneur need to know your conversion rates. You need to know, if I speak to 10 people, am I able to close 2? Am I able to close 5? Am I able to close 8? By knowing those numbers, you can reverse engineer how many people you have to talk to hit that financial budget that you have in your mind, right? That's the first thing. The second one is understanding that you don't have that much control over the budget. right? The budget is set by what I like to call the Facebook algorithm gods. They like to determine it, and there's many factors that go into it. You can influence it, of course, by having a great ad, by having a great lead magnet, by having a great landing page if you're taking them on that, by having a great sales conversation if you're doing like a chat conversation. You can fix that by optimizing, right? But ultimately, they decide what it's going to cost you with their algorithm. You can't set it. Now, that being said, if you have a small budget, and let's say your budget is you want to spend $10 every day, right? That's fine. Just know that maybe you'll only attract 100, 200, 300, 500 people will see your ad. Now, you might think, oh, Carol, that's not a lot of people. Why? Because we've been programmed that anything that is not over 1 million and that's not viral and that's not 100 people is a lot of people. If 100 people were in front of you right now, you would freak out. You'd be like, why are there so many people here?
So true.
I had 120 people at my wedding, and I still was like, where did all these people come from? Like, how do we know so many people? This is crazy, right? So 100 people is a lot of people. 200 people is a lot of people. But is it enough to hit your conversion budgets, like what you need? That's up to you. That you can only answer. I can't, because I'm not on the sales call. I'm not on the webinar. I'm not on the book a call. I'm not there. So I can't close people for you. I wish I could. That's the only part I can't do for my clients, right? Now, once you know that, you can make peace with it. And if you have a bigger budget, of course, it's going to be easier to attract more people. Because if you think about it this way, a small budget is like a small little cell phone screen, and a big budget is like a giant billboard on a highway. Both are going to gather attention, but one is going to do it slowly, and the other one is just going to be like, look at me, look at me.
Right. Right. So would you say that the best practice, of course, is to get started on a smaller budget, and when you see like let the data speak, right? I mean, when you see it's working, like yeah, then you increase your budget, right? I think that's the
correct. Yeah. And go into it with, this is another thing that I'll say, don't give up too quickly. Okay. Don't give up too quickly. I know it can seem like you're gambling, right? Because you're like, oh, I've put $10 in, $20 in, and I've got no sales. Well, you've only done it for one day. You don't go to the gym and, work out for 60 minutes. And then we're like, oh, why don't I have a six pack? Well, because you've only been there once. How was it meant to happen? So I want you to have the same mentality. On average, I tell my clients that it's actually like 90 days to data. And what I mean by that is that it generally takes us 90 days to really make sure it is the right lead magnet. We're showing it to the right people. We have the right sales funnel dialed in to get to the point where you can with confidently say, I'm putting in 10 and I'm getting this amount out. I'm putting in 100 and I'm getting this amount out. But before that, you have to test. And I personally like to test in 7-day increments. So I let it run for a week. I let the data show me, okay, now the leads are coming in at $2. Now the leads are coming in at $10. What did I change? What made it do that? Was it the audience? Was it the content? Was it the settings that I used? What did I change? What influenced that?
Yeah, and the other thing about ads is that we are overwhelmed with so many contents, right? Ads and content and everything, and it's so overwhelming. Right now, when I see an ad, I don't even know it's an ad anymore. It's just I thought it's another piece of content, right? Like everything is blended in, right? So into one piece. So what is your secret? Because in order for people to see your ads, like we know how this is how we scroll through on social media, like that fast. How do you create scroll stopping content that captures attention so that people actually read your caption, go through your funnel and click the button, like after all you are spending money on it. Like how do you do that? Because I think that is like the visual piece is like the number one key, right, to running an successful advertisement.
So the first thing I would do is know your audience. If you already have your people who have come through from a sale from social media, not a referral, guys. Like maybe you started a conversation on Instagram, you started a conversation on Facebook, or they found you first there and then they went on your website. We need that kind of person, right? That sort of tells us, yes, you're already speaking to your ideal clients, right? Yep. Now, I want you to look at maybe the last 90 days again. what were your best performing posts? Was it videos? Was it a carousel? Was it a still? Sometimes my clients' best performing ad format is sitting in their organic social because their audience already knows about it. I have one client, she works with a lot of people in tech. And what we've actually found is that people in tech love carousels.
Yeah.
Personally, I thought carousels were like really old school. I was like, really? A carousel? But people like them. They like to scroll, they like to read them. So that's a great one. I have a fitness client who's also a coach, and she just has a still. It's her, she looks amazing, and it says free program. And that stops the scroll. So I want you to look at your data. What resonates with your clients? And then remember, we have the attention span of a goldfish right now. We're so bombarded with life that it really only takes, like you say, 3 seconds. So do your best. This is your opportunity to shine and show up. So show up as the best version of yourself. Clean your camera lenses. Make sure it's on crisp and beautiful. Make sure you look the way that you would like to be represented. Start with a strong statement. Don't be like, hello guys, welcome to my, no one has time. Next.
Yeah.
Tell me what you're going to do. Right? Think of the things that have made you, whether it's an ad or not, what were you attracted to? Was it because they made a bold claim? Was it because they caught your attention? Think about those things as well. And then try incorporate it into your personal brand, into your personal story. Because people are going to buy from you, not from the competition. You don't want to copy anyone. You just want to say, hey, my mom, bread doesn't compete with bread. And I didn't get it. I was like, lady, what are you talking about? But it's true. You get like so many different types of bread. You get white bread, brown bread, seed bread, gluten-free, carbs-free, so many different breads. They're all the same product. In a world full of coaches, service providers, what makes you special? That is what's going to make your ad stand out.
Yes, right. Okay, so how do you help people figure out what makes them stand out?
Okay, so for me, it's what is your secret sauce? I like to sit with my clients. I was like, let's pretend I'm a client. How do you make me successful? What is it that you do differently from other coaches? And don't tell me tangible things like, oh, we meet once a week. Yeah, I meet once a week with my sales coach too. She's nice. I like her. But what do you do in that session? Do you guys talk? Do you guys have practice conversations? Does she look over your work? Do you guys set things up? It is those key little moments. For example, I have this one client who constantly says, Carol, I just love how positive you are all the time. Even if the ad is sucking, even if we're having a bad day, you always come here with solutions and you're ready to work and you just figure it out. That's what makes me different because I'm rooting for you. I want you to win, right? I need you to succeed because when you win, I win. So it's part of what makes me different. So as a coach, what makes you different?
Oh, is there a question for me?
Yeah, tell me, what makes you different? Let's do it.
Yeah, okay, let's do it. So yeah, I'm a podcasting coach. Oh my God, I'm sweating right now. And I know a lot of people think about so yes, I help people make, market, and monetize a podcast. Like there's my 3 M's. And it's easy to remember. So yes, I'm not just another podcasting coach who helps you set up your tag, your microphone, tell you what to buy and things like that. You can Google it, like you can watch a bunch of YouTube videos and you know how to set up a podcast. But a lot of podcasters fail because they don't have a monetization method. They don't know how to make money or get clients from a podcast. So it's just a hobby, right? And which is why average podcaster quit after 7 episodes. So yeah. So what makes me different is that I don't help you just launch. I actually don't help you launch a podcast, and that's actually what my clients told me. Like, I remember at the end of our program, he said to me, Joanne, you don't actually help people launch a podcast. Do you know that? I was like, yeah, actually, I don't. I help people market and monetize because these are the 2 key elements that actually help, make a podcast successful. So yeah, I believe that's what makes me different. And that's how I lead with, when I post my content or, show up.
Like, ready to monetize your podcast? I can help you. There we go. There's a hook.
Yeah.
Like, you could literally be like, tired of podcasting and seeing no results? Are you treating your current business as a hobby? Are you ready to actually step into business? So, I mean, all the things that people tell us, that's what makes us special. That's what you want to lead with.
Yeah.
A great ad is not about showing people that you have a Lamborghini and this wonderful life. Look, it's some people that is very attractive to them. To me, I just want the meat and potato. I want to know that you know how to get me from point A to point B. If you can do that, then I trust you.
Yeah.
And then if it's a delightful journey too, then why not, you know?
Yeah.
That's always nice.
Yeah, well, I mean, thank you so much for that. I wasn't expecting that, getting asked a question, but on my own podcast. So, but I really appreciate that.
Anytime.
Right. So, okay,
Anytime.
what is the since we are always, we work with coaches, especially, what are some of the mistakes that you see coaches make, especially when it comes to running ads, since that is your specialty?
Yeah, I think most of them want to run the ad to a high ticket offer. Unfortunately, again, the COVID bubble brought on this age of everybody and their cat wants to be a coach, which is fine. It's okay. You know, we all are people who are here to teach. We can all teach something.
Yep.
Now, it doesn't mean that everybody has to have a program that's like $20,000, $6,000, $8,000, because it's a big commitment. And a lot of coaches want to run an ad and expect to close someone for 6,000, 8,000, 20,000. Again, I go back to my scenario of meeting someone at a bar. That's a lot of investing that you're asking me to do
Right.
when I've seen one ad. It's
Yes.
not going to work. So what I always say to them is, especially if we're doing like a lead magnet, we're doing a nurturing campaign, let's have something like an SLO, which is a self-liquidating offer, just to help manage the cost of the ads. Now, very popular SLOs are like having a membership. A lot of coaches love to create. I mean, look at you. You have a podcast. You're constantly creating.
Yes, we
Coaches love to create. So I constantly tell them, like, look, if you have all this content, let's use it. You could create a membership. You can create a vault. You can create something that's giving you a little bit of revenue that's a smaller ticket item. And that like $97 offer or $27 offer or whatever, you know, amount you want to do it, 111333 if you like angel numbers, whatever you want to call it, that revenue is going back into your ads. So a portion of your ad spend is actually now being funded by this program. It doesn't have to be a membership. It can be anything. It can be a once-off thing. Maybe you have templates. So someone like yourself, what if you sold like an in-depth checklist or an in-depth mini course, a DIY course on how to get started? This is what you need to do in the first 6 weeks to launch your podcast.
Right.
It's like a quick start kind of vibes. And then they work on it themselves and they do it. And the course of that mini program or mini offer will help you pay for your ads. Now, again, I wouldn't run ads directly to this offer or to this membership. I would lead with capturing an email and selling it via an email campaign. So while you're nurturing them, introducing the next step as the campaign, or saying, hey, if you are all in and you're ready to take action, let's work one-on-one together. Let's work in a container or group coaching program. Yeah.
Right. It's about nurturing. Yeah. I mean, yeah, after all, it's about building relationship, right, with your audience. So you said something like, the ad sucks and your clients, and say you are still positive about it. So how do you then turn an underperforming ad campaigns into something winning? Like, how do you make it, like, how do you identify? I'm sure, do you freak out like when you see it's not performing well, like, and then what do you do about it?
Yes, I am human. I do freak out. I'm not always smiling. I do freak out. But what I have taught myself is that everything is temporary. You will freak out for a little moment, you will be in those feelings, and then you're like, okay, what are we doing next? So because ads are a lot about testing, I go back and I see, well, what did work, right? Let's figure out what worked and let's figure out what didn't work. So a quick way that I like to do it is start at the beginning. Did they see the ad? So firstly, is enough people seeing the ad? Perhaps your budget is too low, right? What we spoke about before. Is $10 enough to be in front of the right people? Is the ad also effective? Have you used a video? Have you used a carousel? Could we change that? Is the copy strong enough? are the words you're using resonating with people to take an action? Is it something that appeals to them? So that's the first set of things. I always look at the ads first.
Mm-hmm.
Then I think, okay, if my ads are strong, am I showing them to the wrong person? So am I targeting wrong? Is the audience wrong? Is the people who I'm giving them the solution, they're like, I don't need the solution. Because talking to busy moms and talking to entrepreneurs, it's very different people. They have very different concerns. So you want to know, okay, I have the solution. I have this ad geared to the solution. Am I showing it to the right person? So maybe changing audiences. And then lastly, I see if people are clicking on the ad, if people like are clicking on the ad and getting to a landing page, that shows me that that is the right audience, because the right people are looking at it, they're clicking on it, they're going to the landing page, they're doing what they're told. But on the landing page or on the second place where you start the conversation, you get a drop, right? They don't give you their emails. They don't continue with the conversation. There's a problem there. Could you improve that landing page? Maybe it's too long. Maybe the form is all the way at the bottom. So maybe it's not mobile friendly. A lot of people look at these things on their phone. Have you built your page to be mobile optimized? And sometimes it's something so small like that. Like, oh, I didn't know it looked like this on mobile. Oh my word. I had no idea. It looked terrible on the phone.
Yes.
Right? Because we're so used to building on a laptop or a desktop. You're like, oh, sure, but I didn't even check. What does it look like on the phone? So you want to do that. And then lastly, if they've gotten to the point that they've looked on the landing page, but they're not opening emails and they're not clicking on things, you want to identify, is it one, that the emails you're sending are not clickbaity enough, they're not enticing enough, you're not like standing out from all the other emails that you have, right? Or is it that perhaps the person is interested in your offer, but what now you're showing them in your emails, they're like, no, this is not what I want. So perhaps you need to show them something else, because if they've made it this far, they clearly trust you, but what you're saying to them right now isn't something they need. Hence, they're not taking action. So that's how I would sort of troubleshoot, and be patient. It's very scary. I do understand. But like we said in the beginning, set yourself a goal, set yourself a budget and commit to it. You know, just because in the first week you didn't get the results you have gotten, that's okay. Maybe once you make a little change, it will work out. I'm not even exaggerating. I had a client yesterday. We have been at a month at this every single day, making changes, doing things. The client was also like, oh, okay. No, she's like, oh, okay. My heart was also like, like, oh my gosh, what? This is never happening. Like, why is this really? Maybe like 2 weeks is okay, but like a month, I'm like, come on now. And then it started to work. And we realized that what was missing, and I didn't even think about this before, the ads we had made had no images of her. But the ads that I put out this week all have a video, have her face. They have her face.
Right.
And people have connected with that. And now we have leads. And now it works.
All it takes is a face. Okay. Right.
You see what I'm saying? So before we had like stock images, and we were sort of going with letting them, the audience, identify themselves. But now we've put her, the business owner, as the actual face. And now people are signing up.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think it's an authoritative kind of what I call that, because I always tell my people, when they design a podcast cover art, you need to want your face on it, right? Because if it's just a bunch of words or some stock images or microphone, like people are not connecting to it. Like they can listen to any other podcast, right? But it's because it's you, right? So I believe maybe it's something along the line. And the other could be looking at the time, it should be my last question. And you know, since I'm also considering running Facebook ads again, just, you know, to grow my leads and all that, I'm talking to this guy. He agrees to help me. And so when it comes to finding the right agency or a marketer to help you run ads, like like how do we decide? Because there's so many, and sometimes they tell you, like, they just give you all the big promises and guarantees, and you know it's not how it works. But yeah, how do we decide? Because sometimes I'm like, I'm not sure if it's the right guy. Like, I'm just like overwhelmed, and that's also one of the reasons that is holding me back, because I don't want to do it myself, right? I can do it myself. So
no, I get that. And I mean, good for you for identifying that you need help. That's probably a hard step to take. So congrats on that. I would say one of the main things when hiring any agency is you want someone who understands your unique business. Someone who you can tell them in the whole month, I only want to spend $300 and they're okay with that. Or I want to spend $5,000 and they're okay with that. They're not pressuring you to hit certain ad spends. They're not making huge promises and claims, right? I also think like they need to give you something tangible, okay? And for me, it has to be something tangible, but that it's also qualified. Like a big thing for me that I do is like I said, I give my clients like an email or something like that, something that they can hold on to even after we start working together. Because again, maybe those leads won't convert now, but they'll convert 6 months from now because they've been nurtured enough. What you don't want to do is have someone who is like, hey, put all this money together, build all this system, and people will come. And also, if they follow some kind of like terminology, not terminology, kind of selling way, a way to sell that you don't like. So if they say you have to do a webinars, but you hate doing a webinar, or you don't like watching a webinar, why would you do that? You want to work with people, or they're like, you know what, we're going to get you business calls. We're going to get you 20 calls on your calendar, but you hate closing on a call. You hate getting on a call with people and you're like, oh my gosh, I hate this. Why would you want that? So you want to work with someone who understands your unique perspectives and will, like I said at the beginning,
Right.
amplify what you already have.
Yeah, I think that's so key. Like you just said so beautifully. Yeah, I think actually, yeah, this is like I just need to know that I feel safe enough to share my business with this person that I barely know, right? Just found on the internet, and now it's helping me grow my business. Like I need to feel safe and I can trust, this
Yes.
person. Right? It's about trust. So yeah, I mean, thank you so much for that. Before we end, is there anything else you want to add? Just kind of like wrap out everything we talk about.
Sure. So I do have a quiz and I'm happy to show you the quiz.
Yes.
It is all about finding out your Facebook ads readiness score, which will tell you if you're ready to run Facebook ads. So before you go and take your money and just put it into ads and then turn around and say, oh, Carol didn't know what she was talking about, take the quiz to
Right.
first find out if you should be running ads in the first place.
Yeah. And yeah, please send me the link. I personally will take the quiz. Maybe I'm not ready yet. I'm just, maybe I'm not ready yet. I wouldn't know, right? So yeah, send me the link. I'll put the link in the show note below as well. And other than
Awesome.
that, tell my listeners where is the best place to find you if they want to connect with you, if they want to work with you, where should they go?
Amazing. So if anybody would like to work with me, you can go to my website. It's carolkabaale.com. So my name and my surname, I'm sure it'll be in the show notes. And if you want to connect with me, I am most active on Instagram and LinkedIn. And again, it's just Carol Kabaale.
Beautiful. Yeah, again, guys, I'll put all the links in the show note below. So make sure you visit the show note and give Carol a follow. Thank her for coming to our show today. And if you have any other question, you can always leave a comment below if you're watching this on YouTube, and we'll get back to you. And remember to like and subscribe. And thanks for listening and watching today. And until next time, keep showing up. Success doesn't show up for you until you show up and pursue your own success.